You may have noticed, but QR codes are everywhere these days. Lots of marketers are using them. There's a new report out about their use, and I went through to try to pick out some things that might make your library marketing more effective. I'm going to share that with you in this episode of the Library Marketing Show. Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Hursh from the blog superlibrarymarketing.com. Head on over there and click on the Library Marketing Show tab to ask a question that I'll answer in a future episode or nominate a library for Kudos. You can also look to see where we might meet in the near future at a conference or other event. We're going to begin today's episode, as always, with Kudos, and our Kudos today is going to the Chicago Public Library. I recently found somewhere on the internet, I actually don't even remember where I found this, but they have published a long book called Stories of the People, Lifelong Learning from the Chicago Public Library. I'll put a link down below. It's a digital book using FlipSnack. I think it's like 50 something pages long, and it's just all it is stories of library patrons and how they use the library. There's even some videos embedded in it. It's pretty brilliant. I can imagine that they use it in a lot of different ways to prove their value. And I just thought it was awesome. And it's something that would be totally replicable at your library. So take a look at it. Link is down below. And great job, Chicago Public Library. All right, let's get into today's topic, which is the QR code. There was a time when QR codes were the coolest thing ever, and then they went out of style for some reason, and now they're back with full force. Bitly has released a survey, study, research on how people are using QR codes, marketers in particular. And like I said, I went through to try to pick out some things that might help library marketing. So first of all, 93% of marketers said they used more QR codes last year than the year before. I'm curious, are you using QR codes more often? Let me know down below. But what I think about this is that QR codes really can help you to let your patrons access physical and digital ebooks and collection items. You can use them in book displays, on event posters, and so much more. Digital signs, all of those things. Anywhere where you think somebody might be looking at your promotion and have their phone handy. This report also talks about how QR codes help keep promotions timely, especially if there's some kind of an incentive to sign up or take an action right away. So for libraries, this might be really great for time-sensitive perks like registering for a program that's coming up, especially if it's a big program and you know that seats or availability will be limited. You can use a QR code to drive those, or you can do lots with your digital downloads using QR codes. So if you have a tutorial, or if you have, let's say you do a cooking program and you have a recipe card, you can use a QR code to let people download that. You can also use it for your digital items, specific ebooks, audiobooks, streaming movies, and music. You can make a QR code that leads to that specific item. It makes it a lot easier for people to put those items on hold or check them out. And of course, QR codes are really great for data collection. You can learn a lot about how your library marketing is effective and which channels are most effective by using QR codes. So you'll want to use something, a service for QR codes like Bitly, of course, that can track your scans so that you can learn which content that you put out resonates most, and you can keep doing that content and maybe stop doing content that doesn't get as many scans. Now, if you're trying to decide whether to use a free QR code service or to buy a subscription to a QR code service like Adobe or Bitly, here's something to consider. There's this thing called dynamic QR codes, which basically means you create the QR code and then you can actually change the URL later that the QR code leads to. So, for example, if you created a QR code for this year's summer reading landing page, you could reuse that QR code. You wouldn't have to change any of your print or digital materials. All you would do is go into your QR code maker and change the URL that the QR code is leading to. So that might be something to consider if you're deciding whether it's worth the money. So those are the big top things that I pulled out of that study. Like I said, it'll be linked down below so you can read more. And I'm curious about your library's use of QR codes. What are you doing? Is there anything that you've used QR codes on that didn't work? We often ask, or I often ask, about things that work, but I'm curious if there are some places that you've discovered that QR codes are just not applicable. Let me know down in the comments. I'm really curious. And that is it for this episode of the Library Marketing Show. But my channel is full of other tips for library marketing. If you want to learn more, and I hope you do, head to this next video. I'll meet you there.